the start of the new run on Aquaman by Kelly Sue DeConnick with art by Robson Roca. This is issue 43, and obviously we've got an amnesia thing on with Dick, so it's easy, I think, to go into this knowing that it's an amnesia plot and be like, we're doing that. I think what's interesting here about this, though, is that this is kind of using it as a breather, because, Aquaman is so often, the surface world are awful, we're going to go to war with them, the politics of Atlantis. It's actually kind of nice, and I don't dislike that stuff, but it's kind of nice to actually get a break from that, and I think that this is maybe what this is doing.
Yeah, because even when, like, before John's kind of revitalized him, he was always tied to Atlantis.
Yeah.
And here, this is the first story I've read of his where there's kind of no mention, and it's nice that you have that amnesia. But there's still some, like, water magic shenanigans going on.
Oh, yeah.
Which is awesome.
I mean, it's Aquaman. You has to be water-related things happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
But I really like the stuff this sets up. I like the tone of the story that Kelly Sue sets up. Like, from the time it starts, you're like, who are all these characters? And there's a mystery to them that starts to unravel as you read just this first part.
Yeah, and I
really like it.
It's a credit to the storytelling that I never was annoyed about these new characters. They're introduced in a really simple, straightforward way. It's not cumbersome. And we get this story of this mysterious island where, as it goes on, we find out all these characters all kind of ended up here. Almost as if they're people who have been disregarded by the ocean. There's a lot of talk about the ocean being a sentient being in this issue. A lot of they believe the ocean's mother, the goddess, and there's what was her name? Callie is doing a lot of ocean dancing, out in the beach during the storm.
I like when it starts that they talk about everyone fights over land, but the Earth's 75% water, but no one seems to fight over the water. The water's just free. And so I like that, what happens when the 75% turns on you?
Yeah.
And it's a great idea.
So Aquaman's staying in this place. He's helping out this older couple. They're calling him Andy because they know his name begins with an A because of his belt. But
his belt, I love that.
But they don't know what his name is, so they're just calling him Andy. And one of the big things between him...
That's the question, how long have people been here on this island without, any contact to know of his existence?
Oh, sure, yeah, that's a good point. But one of the things different between Andy here, if we want to call him that, and Rick Grayson, is that Andy's not unlikable. He seems like a perfectly calm, reasonable dude who's helping out these, because he's doing things out of kindness. He's helping these people with their roof. He's helping them with their daily things, as opposed to Rick Grayson, who's just an unlikable asshole from the first second we meet him. Right. So that's a big deal.
He's still in his nature. He's helping people,
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like he doesn't know how else to be, and I like that. One of my favorite gags in this was Callie trying to say what his name is, and I have to look at it to say it because it's one of those names, but it's Aruzio.
Yeah, sure. Got to roll the R, Matt.
Yeah, I'm not gonna roll the R.
Yeah,
but I like that, and I like that it means orange because it's A. He probably washed up in his costume.
He did. We see it.
Orange.
We see the flashback.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I love that runner. That's what she calls him. And also this is not dependent on anybody else. It's Aquaman. Whereas I talked about earlier where when Abnett was writing, it felt like a team book because there's all these characters coming in and out, and you had Mara and Orm, and
sometimes it's nice to focus in sometimes on
just on Arthur or Andy or whatever. So
I think we get the one hint where they're like, hey, if you, because they ultimately ask him, they think because all the fish are turning up dead, so that they're running low on food, and they think it's because Nama, I think the name was,
Nama.
This woman who was ostracized because she didn't respect the ocean, and she sort of raged against it, and they ostracize her on this separate little island, and they ask Aquaman to go there and basically give her the thing that they kept from her, which it turns out is Callie, her daughter. So they've been there for at least her adult, her entire life, because she's an adult now.
Yeah, I mean, I assume they didn't all come in together though. They kind of
sure, yeah, they've been kind of
yeah.
And So that's presumably where we're going with the plot. But they say, hey, we've got this special water that might restore your memory, and he looks into it and he sees like Mira, and he doesn't know who it is. He's like, who is this woman?
Right.
And he feels strongly about it. So he obviously there's like a hint of feelings there, but he doesn't know who it is. So I like that it's setting up that his past life is important. We're going to get to Mira. We're going to get to that stuff. But right now we're focused on just him sort of discovering who he is. I think one of the things I like about this as well, because I think when we read that Robson Rocha was going to be doing the art, we thought, oh, he's pretty solid, but it's going to be house style. It's going to go back to just kind of looking like Aquaman used to look. And I think, largely in the colouring, they've kept a unique style with this, where it feels like its own thing.
I think it's all in the colours. I think Sonny Cho deserves most of the credit here, because, we've seen Robson Rocha relatively frequently throughout Rebirth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We rarely go more than a few months without seeing this work, and it's never looked as good as this.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think though it's I think that almost sounds like a discredit to say, oh, I'm going to give it all to the colorist. I think his art is really good. It's just
it doesn't look like any Rocha art that I've really seen.
Yeah,
like it still is distinct.
The coloring gives it a different feel, different vibe, and I think the package is much more impressive as a whole.
That's fair. I think it's probably a different inker as well. It feels a lot tighter on the inks. Yeah. I think it's working a lot better here. So that's why I'm giving a lot of credit to the supporting team on the art here.
Yeah. No, I don't want to. It's when you say it's all them. It feels like you're knocking down the original art. If I guess is what I'm saying.
The pencils are still the base. Don't be wrong.
Yeah.
But
because what that says to me though is that when they were coming up with this new run and they were planning this first arc, and Kelly Sue was there was a conscious choice to have a style. There was a conscious choice to go, no, we want to go with this color palette rather than the typical house style palette. There was a conscious choice to give this a different feel to the rest of the books right now, and I like that. I like that it feels unique. And it looks very pretty. So, yeah, it goes well with the stormy vibe that the book has, where there's like all these, the waves are crashing. There's constantly raining. Yeah, it's going well with that mood. And the end of the book is when Aquaman runs out to get Callie at the end, because the waves are going to crash into her. The waves kind of basically Red Sea around them. It's kind of like, it's almost as if Mira was there controlling the water, but it's not. It's the ocean itself.
Right.
So that's kind of a belief.
You see everyone. Look at them. So I looked up Arusio, right? Because I was like, well, in what language is that for orange? Apparently it's French, right? But
of course it is. Stupid language that makes no sense.
But because it says there's a town of Arusio in southern Gaul, and Gaul was France, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm asking Connor. Connor knows history a little bit more.
Definitely not beach.
But Arusio is also a local Celtic water god.
Yeah.
Right, and so I feel like that's where this is going. Wherever this island is, we're gonna get into.
Yeah, I feel like
into that stuff.
When we heard this story was about him washing up in an island with amnesia, I don't think we stopped and considered that it was going to be like a mysterious island, which has like mythical implications. That
well, because I automatically went to like Robinson Crusoe. Oh, it's just an island. He doesn't know who he is, so he can't get off. But here,
it's more like Lost. It's like, no, this island has a presence. This island has a history, and it's drawn them here because of who they are. So,
right. And so you start looking at these names, and of course, nothing's ever done without intent in a story, unless it's poorly told. And here, I don't think it is. So,
no, I really like this actually. I'm on board for this run after this issue. I'm into it. I think it has great atmosphere. And it's a different atmosphere than the book had before. Even when it was at its height, with the underworld stuff with Cedric on art, that had great atmosphere. This is a very different atmosphere, which I like. It feels unique. So,
Aquaman's building up a quiver of fun runs. Like, they're all distinct. Yeah, right. Also, I want to put out a challenge. It's not really a challenge, but some recommendations for work by Kelly Sue that's not Captain Marvel. Because if it's as good as this, she's kind of been a blind spot of mine.
She did an image book called Bitch Planet. I don't know if you wanted to try that, but I don't
it was Pretty Deadly was hers as well, right?
Okay.
Was it? Oh.
But yeah, so if anyone wants to send me some recommendations,
Yeah. Do you know what I think's interesting about this? Is Kelly Sue does not have to be writing a DC book. So
No.
Her and Fraction just got a big movie development deal. This is not out of necessity because she needs the job. This is because she wants to do an Aquaman book. So I think that's encouraging, and it feels like she's got some ideas here from this first issue. It feels like this is going to be her run. It feels different.
Right. So and it feels unique to Aquaman. It's not like she's had this idea for, a creator owned, and she's like, oh, I'm just gonna plug Aquaman in.
Oh yeah.
This feels very unique to Aquaman.
It does, yeah.
So no. So we'll rate the book, Matt. What are you giving Aquaman 43?
It's an 8.5.
Connor.
Yeah, I liked it. I'm gonna 7.5.
I will go. I'm agree with Matt and go with 8.5. I really liked it. I think I had a really good mood and atmosphere.